Hey guys, I'm Meteorologist Chris Tomer. Let's talk some mountain weather, and of course the bullseye right now continues to be the Pacific Northwest, BC, and Banff. That's where the storm track is just firing moisture, and I'll show you that into the interior. So this is infrared satellite. I'll just mark the key features that play into the forecast here, and one of them is this big high pressure that's sort of guarding California. What'll happen in the coming days, this is going to get dislodged and pushed out as this is your storm track, which is strong onshore, blowing moisture into BC, Pacific Northwest, and also Banff. Let me just mark the low right here. Big area of low pressure. Everything's sort of rotating around this. And then onshore with the jet, well, there's another low back here. Both of these, this will be the first one. The second one out here will also play into the forecast. The first one dislodges the high. The second one will rotate in later in the period and push a lot of snow into the northern tier of the Rockies. So each of them will have their piece in the forecast. I wrote a lot about it this morning on my blog, christomer.com. Mountain Weather Update 1030. Talked about some of my bullet points, the current bullseye, what I think is going to happen down the road. And this is something I've been mentioning the last couple of days. And I'll show you what it looks like with the jet pattern as well. But this looks to me like the low is going to move rather quickly through California, and the winds may not be optimal for maximum upslope in the Sierra. So we'll end up with some accumulation, but it doesn't at this point look like it's going to be blockbuster. So I looked at a lot of stuff on there. I also put an Instagram feed mentioning here my friend Gary Fondle was out making turns here in Colorado. I mean, that's what it looks like right now in a lot of places in the backcountry in Colorado. And I mean, that's obviously just spectacular, great to see. But we're going to have to wait a few days here in Colorado before we start to get new snow, and I'll show you that on the timing aspect of this. But let me show you, and this is, I had some commentary here on the jet pattern and why this may not be a blockbuster pattern for California. Let me just switch the source over here and show you what this is going to look like on the jet. So this is 11.3. A couple of things to mention. It's a powerful jet, and it's great to see that this has dislodged that high. But this is a positive tilt. It's going to move rather quickly through California rather than sit. If this were to come in from the west, that would be optimal. And then for it to sit for a couple or 3 days, that would be even better. The problem here is the jet's pointed in the wrong direction and is going to be moving through rather quickly. There's still going to be strong winds. It's just not going to be in the right direction. So that's phase one. That's the 11.3 forecast. Here's the 11.4. And the low drops pretty far south, and it almost wants to cut itself off from the main flow. Even in New Mexico with this type of setup, you're not going to get a lot of snow out of this. This is not the right combination of factors for a lot of ski areas. But look back to the Pacific Northwest here on the 4th. Powerful new jet streak coming in. That low, the second one I showed you, will be a player for the northern tier of the Rockies down the road. I think there may have been one more thing I wanted to show you here. I also went into the timing aspect of this, and I'll pull that up. So watch the timing of this. All right, so by the time we get into Monday morning, it's all clear in the southern Rockies. Then things start to change. On the 1st, low drops down into California, spreads snow into the interior. Low goes and takes that southern track. There's 6:15 Friday morning. There's the 11 p.m. forecast on the 4th. The low is way down to the south in New Mexico. But look to the Pacific Northwest. That's that next low, which will be a player for the northern tier. I'll run this out for you one more time. 6 a.m. Monday. And there's 6 a.m. Tuesday. Here comes the low, swinging south in through California. But notice, it's just kind of a glancing blow. And there are 2 different waves of snow for the Sierra. And then that low tracks way south and into New Mexico. And again, that key low is in the Pacific Northwest, that second low. And then I went into forecast snowfall. I'm going to give you a bonus on this video. We're going to do it instead of just 2 phases. We're going to do 3 time periods on this. So let me switch over. And here is the first time period. So this is 10:30 through 10:31. Bullseyes, Pacific Northwest, BC, Banff for the biggest totals. In fact, there's nothing really in the lower in the lower 48 interior Rockies at all. We're just waiting on the drop down. So here is phase 2. This is 11.1 through 11.4. So this would come from that low that drops down into California and tracks south. So you're looking at about a foot in the Sierra. I think that's fair. And as it goes south, I had to cut the numbers down through Bryan Head. It's just going to go so far to the south. The numbers in the San Juans, 8 to 12 at this point. But I had to really shave the numbers down in northern New Mexico. The flow is just not right. So on the northern periphery, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 inches not out of the question through the Wasatch and in the central and northern mountains of Colorado and up into the Tetons. Now, some of the numbers you see ticking up in the Pacific Northwest, BC, and Banff, and they're impressive in Banff, are coming from that second low. That takes me into the third time period. So between 11.5 and 11.7, this is the kind of snow that accumulates. And it's that second low that really overspreads the northern tier. Look at that, another foot through Jackson Hole, Big Sky, Grand Targhee, Discovery, up through Oregon and Washington, and another probably 2 to 8 through interior BC and Banff. So the first low goes south, second low kind of hangs to the north and hits the northern tier of the Rockies. So we've got action all the way down the road through the 7th. Thank you guys for tuning in here. Always appreciate it. I'll keep things updated this week.